Ukrainians protest the U.S. decision to pause aid to their homeland. We take a look at what's going on across the pond.
President Trump went over his economic agenda and proposed reciprocal tariffs during his address to Congress. We find out how it's affecting local vendors.
And DPS officers arrest a man outside Wallace Annenberg Hall. Find out what DPS is saying about the incident.
Annenberg TV News is next.
President Trump is threatening to cut funding for colleges that allow what he calls illegal protest. Hi, I'm Sebastian Soto.
And I'm Daniella Lake. Tonight we have reactions from concerned students. In a post on Truth Social, President Trump wrote, quote, "All federal funding will stop for any college, school, or university that allows illegal protests. Agitators will be imprisoned or permanently sent back to the country from which they came. American students will be permanently expelled or, depending on the crime, arrested." We asked students for their reaction.
I think it's a little counterintuitive to the progression of any sort of advancement in a society, but especially on a campus with young people.
I feel like anyone is able to protest, and that's what the First Amendment is for. It's just so crazy to think that like our whole lives can be changed just by a simple protest that we do, you know, something that's so right and so just.
In a statement to Annenberg Media, USC's Student Coalition Against Labor Exploitation said that Trump's statement is, quote, "an attempt to intimidate us, and we cannot allow him and his hateful rhetoric to affect our movement, to infiltrate our minds and communities with fear." We also spoke with a political strategist on the likelihood this will go into effect on college campuses.
So I think it's going to run into a lot of constitutional barriers. Colleges are clearly free, and universities, to set time, place, and manner restrictions, but they're not free to censor speech in terms of its content. Outside of those boundaries and outside of inciting people to violence, then students ought to be free to say what they believe, even if you don't like it.
President Trump did not define what's considered an illegal protest.
Saying by church, always trust the Americans will do the right thing once all the other options have been exhausted.
1, 2, 3, 4. Occupation no more. 5, 6, 7, 8. Russia is a terrorist state.
Demonstrators gathered outside U.S. embassies around the world, including here in London, to protest President Trump's decision to pause aid to Ukraine. Annenberg Media's Campbell Donovan is studying in London this semester. She went to the embassy to check out the protest there.
Although it's late here in London, just a few hours ago, hundreds of protesters and Londoners crowded outside the U.S. Embassy. They were advocating for peace in Ukraine, but also speaking out against the U.S. government and their recent interactions with European allies.
I don't see the Americans as our enemies. I believe their politics has, well, issues right now, to put it lightly, which makes dealing with them very difficult. Great country does not survive long by demeaning their allies like this, by humiliating their allies for no other reason but to just aggrandize themselves. Who did Trump aggrandize himself to? No one. Trump is someone who swings like a pendulum in terms of his politics. One day he may speak against Ukraine, the next day he may be pro-Ukraine. You never know with Trump.
Americans that are living in the UK have the opportunity to talk about what's so important to us as well. We are voters, we are citizens.
The White House altercation last week between Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is straining U.S. relations with European allies.
And right here on USC's campus, USC Visions and Voices is holding its own event to celebrate the arts of Ukraine. Annenberg Media's Curran Rastogi is live at Doheny Library.
Yeah, that's right, Daniella. Normally the library is packed and students are studying and it's quiet. But during this event, it's been anything but. This event, called Voices of Freedom, Voices of War in Ukraine, is all about the arts and culture of Ukraine. In just 90 seconds, 3 Ukrainian artists will be talking about their lives, their experiences, and cultural resilience during the war. But before that happens, the three artists all held different workshops. One on fairy tales and how students can use them to better talk about their trauma. Another one on postcard making with Ukrainian folk painting techniques. And the last one on letter writing for students to reflect on their identities. I spoke with one of the artists at the event and learned a little bit more about her work.
Also into literature, and I'm writing up testimonies of Ukrainian survivors, of Ukrainians on the ground, the ways they actually lived through this full-scale invasion. And I write them up as fairy tales because I think that fairy tales have this huge potential.
Well, if you want to catch the conversation, you can still come. It starts at 7 p.m. It'll be here in Doheny Hall. I spoke to one of the other artists, and she told me one of the great things about this event is knowing that Ukraine might be an ocean away, but the effects of the war affect art over there, but they also affect art over here. But that's been me from Doheny Library, Curran, Rastogi, Annenberg Media.
Thanks, Curran. It's now time for an update in the world of politics. For that, let's toss it over to Lucca.
Thanks, Sebastian. Welcome back to Politics in Play. In a fiery address to Congress last night, President Trump doubled down on his economic agenda, which imposes a 25% tariff on almost all goods from Mexico and Canada.
April 2nd, reciprocal tariffs kick in, and whatever they tariff us, other countries, we will tariff them. That's reciprocal, back and forth.
Trump's proposal of reciprocal tariffs was clearly met with thunderous applause from Republicans, which continued throughout the night, remaining in stark contrast to the defiant Democrats, as the Senate lingered in a highly contentious atmosphere. In a poll conducted by CBS News, 76% of viewers approved of Trump's address. That positive number reflects the speech's heavy Republican viewership. Trump says tariffs will make foreign trade more fair and promote industries on home soil, meaning his quote of, quote, making America rich again. That's it for politics. Sebastian, what do you have for us?
Thanks, Lucca. Will tariffs increase prices at the Trojan Farmers Market? Local vendors assured us you'll pay the same amount for your lunch next week. Tariffs on products from Canada, Mexico, and China could mean higher prices for foods like avocados, seafood, and canned goods. Vendors at the farmers market are concerned these rising costs will affect their small businesses.
Chicken, they said, the milk is really expensive actually. We decided with the company to don't touch the price, so the prices are the same and we make less money, but it's not a problem.
Sí nos afectaría, muchos no van a querer comprar el precio más alto.
¿Y qué venden aquí?
Regularmente vendemos frutas y vegetales.
Canada has announced retaliatory tariffs on over $20 billion of goods. Mexico has said it will announce its own retaliatory tariffs on Sunday. And today, USC's Dornsife Center for the Political Future hosted a panel discussion on the future of immigration in the United States.
The reason why we have a border problem is because we haven't allowed enough legal citizens to come in to meet our country's economic needs. And until we do that, those that are illegal are going to see the jobs here, and they're going to figure out a way to climb over, dig under, or swim around whatever barriers we put up.
Immigration continues to be a hot-button issue in the U.S. According to the Pew Research Center, immigrants make up nearly 15% of the American population.
I'm the child of an immigrant, and so it's a cause that's near and dear to my heart. It's interested in seeing a variety of people with experience that touches on immigration describe something solution-oriented that's also fact-based.
U.S. Gould School of Law Immigration Clinic provides free legal consultations and hosts information sessions for students, staff, and their family members.
DPS officers arrested a man this afternoon outside Wallace Annenberg Hall. Assistant Chief of DPS David Carlisle told Annenberg Media that an unhoused male who has a history of sexual battery was taken into custody for trespassing. The man had recently been warned not to come to campus. Carlisle shared these tips if you see a suspicious person on campus. He said to trust your instincts and note if the person has acted suspiciously before. He urges students to heed the motto, when in doubt, report it to DPS. You can report incidents to DPS at 213-740-6000. In an interview with Annenberg Media and the Daily Trojan, President Carol Folt claimed that many people are pleased about the gates surrounding the USC campus.
There are many people that are very pleased when they found out we could put these gates up. You just walk right by with you show your ID and you walk in. There isn't a building in a city right now that you can't go in by doing that. So I think being able to make it easier, we want it to be friendly as possible. We've actually had visitors.
But some students find the gates to be inconvenient and a waste of time.
I don't think it's like the most convenient and smooth experience ever, but I actually think it's quite necessary for the safety of the university, especially with the things going around campus. I think it's a good solution. It works, but it's not the most convenient thing in the world.
They used to be open a lot later, so you could go in and out of campus a lot easier. Like, I live on campus full time, so like getting in and out of where I live is pretty difficult because the only gate that's open now is McClintock, and so McClintock's the only one open on weekends. It's also the only one open past like 8 p.m. I think that they're not exactly convenient or easy. I think they also take up time, especially during like big event days like football games or graduation.
For our full interview with President Folt, you can head to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Annenberg Media.
More than 2,500 video game performers are on strike. Find out what they're demanding.
USC has been testing soil from LA fires to search for toxic materials.
And it's been a rainy day in Southern California. We'll find out if there's more rain on the way and what's in store for the weekend.
Today, video game performers in the Screen Actors Guild Union protested recent layoffs at Warner Brothers Games. Members went on strike in July, concerned about losing their jobs to AI.
We're gonna scream until we're satisfied.
Members picketed in the rain from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Warner Brothers Games offices. The protest comes following the closure of 3 big development studios, including Monolith Productions, Player First Games, and Warner Brothers Games San Diego. The union has several key demands behind the protests, including protections against AI, fair compensation, and job security. Contract negotiations began in 2022, but they haven't returned to the bargaining table since last October. The strike has been going on for 222 days. For updates, you can visit sagaftra.org.
2 USC students and a professor are getting their hands dirty. They've been surveying the soil from the Palisades and Altadena fires to search for toxic materials, and their results may surprise you. Students in the lab scoop samples of soil into a sifter. They shake it to remove the large pieces of rock and dirt from the rest of the sample. The sifted soil is then placed into a small container and transferred to a machine for testing.
The X-ray fluorometer is an instrument that will be used to measure the concentration of elements in solid samples, such as our soil and ash samples.
And it just started as a bunch of grad students going out and collecting samples at like a bunch of weekends, using their weekend time to do that. But now we're transitioning to a community outreach program called CLEAN, and we're essentially just inviting the public to go and collect their own sample, either from their backyard, their kid's school, their kid's sandbox, anywhere that they're curious about the lead concentrations in there, especially post-fire and near the burned areas. And we'll test their samples for free. And for more information, you can check publicexchange.usc.edu, and there's a Google form to fill out to add yourself to the email list.
The USC professor leading the project says FEMA testing isn't thorough enough.
Yes, I think FEMA is doing some amount of testing, but I know there has been controversy lately because FEMA has decided not to do testing of home sites after they've done remediation. So they're just going to be scraping away the debris and then assuming that that's good enough and not doing follow-up testing. Self and other faculty know people who lost their homes in the fires or have otherwise been impacted by the fires. And so we really just wanted to see if there was something we could do to make a difference.
According to the California benchmark, any readings above 80 parts per million is considered dangerous. In one Palisades sample, the top inch of soil came back at only 11 ppm. However, in one Altadena sample, levels were recorded at up to 108 ppm in the danger zone.
Today it was raining and pouring. We'll hear more from Kat on what we can expect for the rest of the week.
Thank you so much, Daniella. Hello, USC, and welcome back to Weather with Kat. I'm your host, Kat Yee. Now let's take a look at our current conditions. It is currently 52 degrees outside and rainy with 95% humidity. Now let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. On tomorrow will be cloudy with a high of 55 degrees and a low of 44. Friday will be sunny with a high of 63 and a low of 41 degrees. Saturday will be sunny with a high of 67 and a low of 43 degrees. Sunday will be sunny with a high of 69 and a low of 47 degrees. On Monday, it will be raining with a high of 57 and a low of 46 degrees. Now let's take a look at my song of the week. This week's song is Don't Rain on My Parade, Glee version obviously. Today it is pouring rain, and even though the weather might be dampening your mood, march your band out and beat your drums. Do not let the rain rain on your parade, Trojans. That's all for the weather. Kamyar, over to you.
Tourney on fire. USC baseball puts me through an emotional roller coaster. And most of all, my personal GOAT did something pretty cool last night. Sports, up next. Welcome back to ATVN Sports. I'm Kamyar Moradi.
And I'm Dominique Williams. Welcome to March, where the madness begins to unfold. USC women's basketball aim for a second straight conference tournament championship, this one as Big Ten members. As Juju Watkins continues to elevate and shatter records as the first USC player to win Conference Player of the Year award since 1987-88, she spoke on Big Ten today, sharing what her message to the team needs to do to make a deep run in March and maybe even into April.
You know, we're really tough, and I admire this about this team, and we're always looking to overcome obstacles and get better in any way possible. So I think the work speaks for itself. As long as we continue to be locked in and you know, stay together as a team, I think the sky's the limit for us.
The Trojans will open Big Ten tournament play on Friday with a quarterfinal outing against the winner of the second round game between number 8 seed Oregon and number 9 seed Indiana. You can catch the Women of Troy tournament action live on the Big Ten Network Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. Now, if you're looking to double up on your dose of hoops this week, USC men's basketball returns home to host Washington. The Trojans shared a little teaser on social media ahead of Wednesday's final home game. The team shared the video on their Instagram account as 7 seniors will be signing off in their final home game of the regular season. Among the senior group, graduate guard Rashawn Agee had a career game against Oregon as he grabbed 29 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 blocks. He is the first player for the Trojans to earn a double-double this season. By the numbers, the Trojans have a higher field goal percentage in the first half, shooting 48.8% compared to 47.5% in the second. However, they tend to score more points in the second half, averaging 39.3 points compared to 37.1 in the first. You can catch the Trojans on the hardwood tonight at the Galen Center. Tip-off is set for 7:30 p.m. Pacific.
Los Angeles, I regret to inform you of some tragic news yesterday. After a generational win against 14th ranked Vanderbilt, the pride and joy of ATVN Wednesday Sports, the USC baseball team lost yesterday. The past 2 games for the Trojans have been offensively stinky, scoring a combined 2 runs in their last 2 outings. Ethan Otani-Hedges went 0 for 3 in Tuesday's 8-1 loss to UCSB, and the team scored a consolation run into the bottom of the ninth to avoid getting skunked. On the flip side, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and talks like a duck, then it's going to beat the brakes off of Utah Tech. The Ducks showed how they were the rookie and who was the vet, beating the Bison 15-0 with 2 moonballs from junior infielder Dominique Hellman. It's going to take a village to beat those slick-back birds this weekend, so all you freeloaders, come out to Great Park this Friday at 6:30 to be one of the first 500 to receive a USC and Big Ten t-shirt collab. Some say he's the best player in human history. Others credit him for bringing us Bronny James. Some others say he's still on the first chapter, while even more credit him for Taco Tuesday. That's right, folks. LeBron 50K Raymond James became the first player in NBA history to score 50,000 career points in the regular season and playoffs. His teammate Lucca Doncic speaks on the accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Watching him do this stuff at this age, it's just unbelievable. Like 50K points, I can't even explain how insane that is. And he might get to 70K, you never know.
Speaking of Lucca Magic, I'd like to take this time to implore all you watching to check in on Nico Harrison. With the Lakers 11-2 after committing the biggest heist since, well, in the history of heists, and Kyrie Irving tearing his ACL, my heart goes out to Nico and his entire family. So Dom, I hear you like your chips with a dip, but who do you think has a better chance of bringing a championship to the city of LA?
I mean, it's only right. I actually brought some gear, had to customize my must bus to the Juju bus. I'm riding with the women of Troy, most likely winning the championship over your little Lakers.
Listen, there's nothing little about them. Thank you very much. We're top 2 in the West. We're the hottest team in the entire NBA right now. They have no Hachimura, no Reeves. Who's going to beat them?
John Moran and them Grizzlies.
18th NBA championship tied with the Boston Celtics. Thank you very much. You can book it. That's a guarantee.
Keep California dreaming because we know that's not going to happen. Not even a Hollywood movie, it won't.
Well, that's all for ATVN Sports. I'm Kamyar Moradi.
And I'm Dominique Williams. Don't forget to keep sports in your corner.
Today is Ash Wednesday. We find out what students are giving up for Lent. This Ash Wednesday, millions of Catholics around the world are praying for the Pope, who's still hospitalized in serious condition. Meantime, the USC community visited the Caruso Catholic Center to receive the traditional ash in the shape of a cross on their forehead. During Lent, Catholics fast, read the Bible, and sacrifice. Participants give up things they enjoy or habits they'd like to break. The USC community is giving up a lot of different things for Lent.
My first year doing it since I was a child, mainly because I did lose my grandpa last year, and I know that he does it every year, so I wanted to do it this year.
Yeah, I'm giving up a couple of things. My first one is going to be curse words. I think I curse a lot.
Giving up makeup. Sugar, coffee, and like processed sugar. And that sucks because I work at a coffee shop. So like,
I'm going to be giving up Instagram, I think, and also all forms of social media. I think I have like a slight dopamine addiction.
Lent officially ends on April 20th or Easter Friday. Sebastian, are you giving up anything for Lent?
You know, I thought about giving up going out to get food because I feel like that's what I end up spending all my money on, and my bank's not looking too happy right now. But what about yourself?
I think I'm gonna add something instead. I think I'm starting boxing.
Boxing? That's new. I just learned that, by the way. I didn't know that you could start something for Lent. I thought you had to give something up, but you can start something.
Yeah.
Why boxing?
Well, I think it'll be a good way to relieve stress and also get some exercise in.
That's great. Absolutely. Well, we'll definitely be seeing some boxing next Wednesday. But thank you for watching Annenberg TV News. From everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Sebastian Soto.
And I'm Daniella Lake. For more coverage, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. We'll see you next time. Good night.